All right, so decided to film this workout just because I like documenting this stuff. And today's just a upper body day, really. So starting off with this incline press on this chest press machine I have, which I really like. And I'm not trying to force progressive overload these days. I'm just trying to make sure the set's good quality, make sure my reps are good quality, and then up the weight once all those things are in check, rather than just rushing everything. So just do a warm up. Yeah, so when I'm doing that, I'm really trying to get like a chest full of air while I'm doing it to keep my rib cage expanded. I find it helps me like activate my chest a bit more. So yeah, I try to make a conscious effort of that during the set because it feels really good. And I'm not overarching my back. I'm trying to keep a stacked rib cage position, because again, that helps engage the chest more, which is why I'm doing this. I'm not just trying to horse as much weight as possible. So yeah, that's the goal with this. And I'm taking this set to basically 0 reps in reserve or even failure a lot of the time. But yeah, man, focus on quality, not necessarily quantity, and trying to force progressive overload. So yeah, let's just try hit the chest. That's the goal. Big pecs, big checks. Yeah. So that was a good set. Last week I only got 10 with that, and I got 12 then, so we'll take that. And the form was good. Hopefully you could see I was keeping my chest full and keeping the tension on there. I wasn't retracting my shoulder blades too much and things like that. But yeah, man, that felt good. So I'm doing 4 sets of those total, so 3 more. Oh, man. But yeah, it's crazy what a difference that pressing style makes. Like I used to press in the kind of powerlifter style where you really arch in, kind of do this thing. And it works for a lot of people, and I got relatively strong at it. Not super strong. I think the most I ever benched was like 125 kg. And for a lanky guy like me, it's not too bad. But my pecs never really grew. And I saw Jeffrey Verity Schofield talk about Jonathan Warren and the way he presses. And I've been giving that a shot for the last, it's probably a good few months. It's got to be at least 6 months. And yeah, I've noticed a huge difference. Shoulders feel better as well, because I'm not having to lift as much weight. But chest is growing, and yeah, I actually finally feel my chest activating during my pressing, which is exciting and quite novel for me, because I tend to be more shoulder and arm dominant, even though it might not look like it. Maybe it does. Hopefully it does, because I have been specializing in arms quite a bit. But yeah, let's do another set, eh? Oh yeah, so 10 on that set, not bad. The other thing I kind of think about when I do this might sound like a weird cue and probably slightly dangerous, is I nearly think of like dislocating my shoulders, right? Which is weird because all it is, when I say dislocating the shoulders, instead of like shrugging up like this, which is what I might naturally do, and really engaging them, it's kind of like keeping them somewhat down and like keeping that little dimple you get in that shoulder there, right? Versus like this and like that. Might be hard to see, but there's a little dimple there. And again, I find that it helps me bias my chest more, which again is why I'm doing this, so it's good. All right, third set coming up. Getting 8 would be a good number here, but we'll take what we get. Hey. Oh. Thanks. Hey. Hey Rips. I use Boost Camp to track my training, by the way. Great app. Been using it for a few years now. Something you might have noticed when I was pressing 2 is I'm not going into the extreme ranges of motion. Been there, done that, right? We've all tried it. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, but when I get here, and I actually have, apparently I have shoulder hypermobility, yeah, whatever that means. So I can get very low, but it fully takes the tension off my chest. And again, back to what I've seen Jonathan Warren and GVS talk about. It's not really stretching your chest anymore. If you're here, you know, my chest is stretched, and then if I go like this, that's just kind of changing the orientation of my rib cage. I'm just going up like that. I'm not really getting any more stretch from like here to here, right? So I'm stopping around here. If I go any lower, I just end up doing the arch thing, and it's like a fake range of motion nearly. But yeah, man, it's a good trick if you're struggling with your chest gains. All right, last set. We'll take what we can get here because chest is pretty cooked by now. Two. All right. Hey. Should have controlled the weight down a bit more there, but that's good, 7 reps. So now that's the chest done for the day, done with this exercise. Now I'm going to move on to pull-ups. So pull-ups have been a bit of an interesting one for me. They are a bit in and out of my program. They haven't been able to be consistent or I haven't been able to be consistent with them because I tend to find they just cause me a lot of elbow pain. And there's a couple of reasons why, I think. The first one is, the first thing is that I started using gymnastic rings, and they've definitely helped when I have done them in more recent spurts, but I've just reintroduced them in the last week or so, and I get elbow pain because I do a lot of arm work at the moment in general, so there's always going to be a bit of a carryover there. Can't figure out these straps right now. There'll always be a bit of a carryover, but also I do a bit of kickboxing, and that taxes the elbows too, just from throwing punches and even like holding pads and things. It all adds up. And as well as that from guitar playing, believe it or not, I find just, sitting for hours practicing. I mean, I try to get hours. That might have been an exaggeration. It's a good day, but even just, half an hour of solid playing, it does tax your elbow because I don't sit in the most ergonomic classical seat posture. I just sit like a caveman, really, or just the same way most people sit, with just the guitar here rather than the leg up and the sideways thing. So yeah, on that note, why I brought that all up is with my pull-ups, I'm being very conservative with how I progress them, because not to toot my own flute, but I can be relatively strong at these just right off the bat. I can be doing weighted pull-ups with like 20 kgs and it's manageable. Well, I can do it, but it's not manageable because it hurts my elbows. So what I'm doing, while I look for this other strap, what I'm doing is I'm actually doing them banded, right? And I'm just gonna take it really easy using the band and just work my way up over the course of a few weeks and focus on things like squeezing and like controlling the tempo and trying to isolate the lats, because that's why I'm doing this. Where the hell's the other strap? Here we go. Yeah, doing things like that so I can really build up the like tendon or elbow strength and just make sure I'm hitting them right muscle groups, because I think when I do pull-ups traditionally, I'm very trap dominant with this stuff, or even like upper back, so I don't get my lats involved. And if I just kind of horse as much weight as I possibly can, that's tends to be what gets biased, is traps and upper back. So yeah, I'm just doing them banded, and at the moment I'm doing 3 pull-ups a week. I'm doing a normal wide grip, again with gymnastic rings. Today is my neutral grip, and then I'll be doing chin-ups, so a more underhand grip on the 5th day of my workout split, because I'm doing 5 days a week at the moment. But yeah, man, so starting banded, feel like a bit of a pencil neck doing it, but just gotta leave the ego with the stuff at the door sometimes. So let's see how this goes. So I'm going to be using, I'll tilt this camera a bit. That didn't even make a difference, but just felt like I was doing something important. I'm going to be using 2 of these red bands, and then putting my foot in it. And I'm doing a higher rep range than I normally would with pull-ups. Normally I like doing them quite heavy, like I mentioned, like even in the 5 to 8 rep range, and weighting, doing them weighted and stuff, which I think is great. But again, because I talked about the elbow issues and stuff I have, I'm going to be doing like, anywhere up to 15, but 8 to 12 ideally. But yeah, let's see how we go. All right, so got 15 with that, and I probably had a couple reps in reserve there, but again, I could start to feel it in the elbows, but it feels a lot better, so just working up to it. But yeah, that feels really good otherwise. And for for the last while, good few months, probably about 6 months, I've just been doing like cable lat work, and really, you might have noticed in that set, I'm really keeping the elbows in front because that's what I've been doing on the cable machines. And the reason is, sorry, I'm just logging this set. Yeah, where was I? So yeah, keeping the elbows in front because this engages the lats more. So like when I was doing my pull downs, I would often do like an underhand grip and do this kind of motion rather than this, because again, I find my upper back takes over. So I'm trying to replicate that with these pull-ups that I've been doing, because I think all things being equal, pull-ups are basically a goated lat exercise, but only if you can do them and target your lats. Right, makes sense. So that's what's going on with these. I'm just going to take them, and week after week, I'm just going to take them to the top of the rep range. Once I can get all 3 sets clean at the top of it, you know, maybe 12 to 15 reps roughly. Right now I have 4 stacks of cable because 2 of them looped over. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you just drop it down to 3. The next week, leave 1 out. Then you take 1 band off and just have 2 and then 1 and then go back to weighted. And by then, I think I should have like the elbow and tendon strength to deal with it. Yeah, the other thing I've been doing to try and mitigate it a bit is adding like some forearm work. I think that can help with protecting the elbows and stuff too if your forearms are more stronger, as I'd say. But yeah, we'll see how I go. Try to do what the Gen Zers do, where they put the microphone on like a head or something, see if it works with the headband, which I know is I look kind of like a douche wearing a headband, but it's the only way to really deal with long hair. Like you can tie it up, but it nearly gives me headaches sometimes when I tie up my hair and I'm exerting myself. So I found this is a good way to deal with it. Anyway, let's do another set. Well, that 12. Probably could have forced another one, but again, I'm easing into it with these. So 1 more set of these, and then moving on to some curls, which will be fun. The other thing I noticed is I'm using a DJI Osmo Action 5 camera, and because it's an action camera, it has that like wide lens look, so kind of makes your proportions look interesting, right? Like if you get in the right spot, see if I go like over here, you might look really big, but then if you're like further back, or especially if you have it like lower coming high, it'll make your legs look really big because it really distorts like whatever's closer to the camera, making it look bigger. So I think that's actually, if I had to guess, a lot of influencers when they take photos of themselves and things, they use that to their advantage. You know, get closer to the camera, find the right angle where it's distorting, getting that fisheye look, and then being like, yeah, man, this is my natty gains. And they probably aren't even natty. So it's a lot of variables, a lot of moving pieces to that lifestyle. Anyway, let's do this last set. Oh. 12, 12, 12. Actually, no, 15 on the first set. That felt good. All right, let's move on to curls. Actually, something you might have noticed with the pull-ups is just like with the pressing movement, I'm not arching my back like this when I'm doing them. I'm trying to keep that stacked position, because again, if I go like this, it turns into like nearly a row, right? Or like a wide, what's it called? Wide grip, like high row, whatever it's called. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to keep it stacked and go like this, so it's more right, getting the lat. Anyway, like I said, time to do some curls. So this is a fun curl variation, and it's been a bit of a staple ever since I've been working out at my home gym here, which has been quite a while now. It's basically been since 2020, since everything shut down. And it's a preacher curl using the cable machine. So I get this nice and high, and I like using this bar here. And this is like the best, one of the best like squeezing bicep movements I've found. And it beats any machine preacher curl I've used at a gym. I probably still prefer, it's quite close between these and like free weight preacher curls, which I also have, because those are really good. And I think they're better for like, just adjusting my ND filter. Here we go. I think they're better for like progressive overload after week and tracking your strength and things. But these are good for just getting a amazing pump and just isolating the biceps and just pushing them really hard. So you sit on here like this, kind of unstable, but that's what makes it functional, right? If it's unstable, functional strength. Put the elbows on this top pad here, grab this and just curl like this. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, feels amazing. So yeah, I'm doing 3 sets of this, and my arms are already a bit fatigued after doing all the pull-ups, because I don't use straps or anything, and arms are obviously going to be somewhat involved in that. Just adjusting this again as it gets more sunny. And you'll notice during the set, I'm really trying to keep tension on the biceps the whole time. I have quite a long tendon on my arm, from my bicep down, so I don't necessarily even go all the way down, because it starts to become a tendon exercise or a tendon movement. So if I have a range of motion that feels effective to me and feels the way I want it to feel, and I just stick with that week after week. As long as all these things are consistent from week to week, then tracking your progress is really easy. Well, yeah, really easy, and it's good data more than anything. All right. Squeezing at the top. There. Come on. Nice. That felt good. So that was 12. But yeah, very controlled the whole time. You could see I was squeezing at the top for a fraction of a second, but it makes a difference. Helps you turn on the guns a bit more, I find. And again, this kind of exercise, I'm not really worried about smashing like strength goals week after week. I'm just worried about targeting the muscle in a way that's joint friendly and getting the most bang for my buck out of the movement. But yeah, arm training's has been a big one that I've stepped up in the last couple of years, because I used to do the whole like powerlifting, power building type training, which is where you hyperfixate on squatting, bench pressing and deadlifting, and like just pushing the numbers in those. And I think that's awesome, especially for like a foundation of strength and just overall body awareness and being able to move heavy shit. But yeah, you tend to neglect arms and other things like that if you hyper focus on that. I think it is possible to do it without hyper focusing on just the three main lifts and neglecting arms, but just didn't really interest me anymore. I think it's something I will do again eventually, like once I've done a good few more just bodybuilding blocks, and I've been doing bodybuilding style training. I'm not competing or anything for a good like 3 years or so now. So maybe another year or two, I'll put the muscle I've got to use and see what kind of numbers I can squat, bench, and deadlift. But yeah, let's do another set, eh? Yeah. Come on. Oh yeah. Feeling that. 10 reps on that set, which is good. Oh, man. Yeah, I think touching on what I've been mentioning throughout this workout about like making sure the form's locked in and the technique's good, and that the reps are quality before pushing the weight or reps too much, is basement bodybuilding. His channel's great, and he talks about something called progressive overload anxiety, and yeah, it's something that comes from the powerlifting background especially, I think. But it's this idea that you have to be pushing your weight and reps every week, or your workout's a waste of time, essentially. And I guess a lot of science-based bodybuilding talks about this a lot, how progressive overload is so important that you just have to make sure you're doing it week to week. But you want to try to get those other variables in check before you worry about that stuff. I mean, you should worry about it. You shouldn't worry about it. You should be aware of it, and it should be a byproduct of you getting like hypertrophy. Like growing bigger arms should make you do more reps with more weight, but you don't want to force it by messing with the quality of your reps, right? Of just going faster or cutting the range of motion or not squeezing like you did the other time. So Bald Omni Man, he's another great creator, awesome channel. He talks about triple progression. So double progression is where you have a rep range, and once you get all your sets to the top of that rep range, you up the weight and move on. But triple progression is you maybe get all the sets to the top of the rep range, and then you focus on improving the rep quality, and then you move up in weight. And yeah, that's something I'm trying to implement at the moment. All right, one more set of these. I think I'm going to have a decent rep drop off with this because, yeah, arms are feeling pretty cooked, and I've actually got one more arm exercise after this. Let's see, eh? Come on. Oh yeah. Alright. So that's cable preacher curls done. Now we're doing some hammer curls with the arm blaster. Now, the reason why I'm even filming this workout and making this video, it's not because I want to necessarily become a fitness YouTuber or anything like that, but I have a few older videos like this from like probably 2021, 2022, maybe some in 2023 too, but just of me like training and stuff, and at the time it feels kind of dumb and like why would I even do this? This isn't interesting. And it's but it is really interesting looking back. Like I'll occasionally go back and look at some of those training videos and just see what I was doing, see where my head was at, and where my strength was, or what I even look like, and things like that. And it's actually very interesting to look back on and see how much things can change over such a short but also somewhat long period of time. So yeah, that's part of the reason I'm doing this right now. Not even sure if I'll post this on YouTube, to be honest. It might just be something for me to look back at. But yeah, I actually enjoy watching other people's videos like this. They're the kind of thing I'll just even put on when I'm driving sometimes, and not even watch, but it's you can learn a lot from it. And I'm not saying that I'm a wealth of knowledge in lifting and fitness by any means compared to a lot of the guys on YouTube. But I have been doing it for a while. You know, I'm probably 10 years of consistent lifting, because I started at 22 and I'm 32 now. But I also did like train a bit when I was 15. I probably did a few brief stints from like 15 to 20 years old. I bought a bench press when I was 15, and I would use that occasionally, doing bench press and overhead press only. Really, maybe some rowing. I didn't really know what I was doing back then, but yeah, it's always been had a bit of a slot in my life, lifting and fitness in general. But yeah, so now I will be doing hammer curls using an arm blaster. Arm blaster is fun as it's like an old school bodybuilding piece of equipment. It's not magic or anything, but I guess it just helps standardize reps and helps you maybe focus on the arms a bit more without as much swinging. Helps if I could find it. I should really start putting my shit away in the place that it's right here. Hard to multitask talking to a camera. I'm trying to organize all this. Yeah, I do these alternating, so one arm at a time. And yeah, doing relatively high reps, because again, I find that helps with any elbow pain. But yeah. A bit more swinging than I'd like at the end there, but something I've got going on at the moment is a bit of tendinitis, I think, in the brachioradialis. which is like this forearm muscle. I might be wrong about that, but on my left arm feels a bit weak, especially on the eccentric. So I'm trying to control it as much as I can, but it can get a bit loose in that bottom part. And also when I do these, I'm really trying to avoid shrugging my shoulders, right? Trying to keep the shoulder down when I'm doing it. But initially, I was going to do 3 sets of these, but judging from how my elbow feels and the forearm a bit, I'm just going to cut it down to 2. And that's actually something I've learned as I've become a more mature lifter, is being able to auto-regulate a bit more. So if I have 3 sets programmed, and it doesn't feel right, something feels a bit off, or I feel like the stimulus to like pain ratio doesn't add up in my favor, then I'll just cut a set off. It's fine. You don't need to do 3 sets. Like arguably 1 set's enough a lot of the time. But I know for me, I'm not going to sandbag. I'm not just going to cut off a set because it's hard or I don't feel like it. So I give myself that grace. But if you're a beginner, you might not want to have that mindset because, I mean, unless you're feeling lots of pain, obviously, but you don't want to give yourself an easy out if you know you're going to take it on a whim. But yeah, so I'll do 1 more set of these and then we'll move on. Got 2 more exercises. Bit sloppy at the end, but yeah, 10 reps. Bit of a drop off from the first set, but at this point in the workout and after all the previous sets of biceps I've done, it's not totally unexpected. All right, sweet. So now I've got a tricep movement coming up, and I'll be doing the French press in the Smith machine. Something that's been a bit of a variable in training lately is I gave up caffeine. Gave up all coffee, Coke Zero, obviously, all those kind of things. Given that up, and the first 3 weeks have been rough because I think check how many days I'm caffeine free. I have it on my phone, 32. Right, so I would say I'm definitely past the, here we go, definitely past the worst of it. I think the worst is like the first couple of weeks, but yeah, I feel great now. I wouldn't say it impacts my training at all at this point, but yeah, I just didn't want to be so reliant on it because I guess I'm kind of an all or nothing person, like a lot of people who get really into lifting weights or guitar or music, anything like that, tend to go all in, and caffeine's kind of similar. So I'm either drinking it every day or not at all. And yeah, I just hate the idea of being so reliant on a substance like that. So I've cut it out. It's not necessarily forever, but I don't think I'll ever go back to drinking it daily. I don't see any reason to at this point. But all that being said, I've actually watched people on YouTube talk about quitting caffeine and saying how their sleep just dramatically improves and all this kind of stuff. And if I'm being honest, for me, like I was drinking a decent amount. I was drinking, it could be 2 to 3 cups a day. But but I slept like a baby. And even if I had it late, I think I just tolerate caffeine and tolerate caffeine really well. It doesn't seem to affect me. Like, I think I can make a case my sleep is worse since quitting caffeine, and I'm not sure why, but that really is the case. However, one thing I would say is I feel a lot more relaxed, because while I don't suffer from anxiety or anything like that, I definitely felt a bit more worked up and a bit more, just a bit more fired up in general. But now I feel a lot more mellow. Well, not a lot more mellow, but just more even energy. Like, that's definitely a real thing. You don't get the huge peaks of energy and all that kind of thing. So I quite like that, just having a more stable energy level throughout the day. But yeah, have you quit caffeine or thought of quitting caffeine? Leave a comment if so, because I find that stuff quite interesting. And if you have quit, how you found it and for how long have you quit? Anyway, so now I'm doing the French press. And this is targeting the long head of the tricep. Just warming up now though. And what I do is I actually use fat grips on the bar for these. Find it feels better on the wrist and allows me to get my hand at an angle that I feel like targets the triceps a bit better. The other thing is, you'll notice I have my feet up on the bench. I really like the feeling of a lot of just pushing movements in general when my feet are up like that, because I think it helps me get in the stacked position more. Like, if my feet are down, kind of lends itself to that arched position, which again I'm trying to not do, and which everyone was told is a really good idea back in the day with fitness content, and still now to a degree. But yeah, so I get the fat grips on like that, and I find it helps. Do one more warm up with close to the working weight. Yeah, it feels a lot better. And because I can do this kind of cupping motion nearly with my hands rather than just like that. Bit more angled in, feels really good. Yeah. So, what weight am I doing? Right. Actually, something I was thinking about lately. So I want to do some like farmer carries type stuff. What I was thinking, actually I'll show you before I do the set. I'm not just procrastinating. I've got this machine here, right, that I was pressing in. So I could use that and just load them up and hold the handles. And then over here, I've actually got a walking pad. So I was thinking if I just put the walking pad in there and I hold onto the handles, it would basically be a farmer's carry. The only problem is that the max weight capacity is 100 on the walking pad, and I weigh 100, or maybe just under actually. I weighed myself the other day and I was like 98.2 kgs, which I think in freedom units, in pounds, is 215, 220 maybe. I don't know exactly. But yeah, the point being, my body weight plus if I'm holding some pretty hefty weights in my hands on the machine, it will definitely be pushing the walking pad, to put it lightly. But might be worth it, because I think they tend to undershoot weight capacity on those things for legal reasons. Actually, in saying that, I just realized the weight capacity on that is like 90 kgs. It's not 100, it's 90. So yeah, it'd definitely be at about 200% of its weight capacity, but who knows? You got to risk it for the biscuit, as they say. All right, let's do the set. Oh. Oh. It's good. I like finishing those on the eccentric at the bottom. Again, because I'm not worried about getting injured with this kind of thing. And why not milk the eccentric for a bit more stimulus if you can in a safe way. So yeah, got 2 more sets of that. And then just some abs to finish off the workout. Something that's been fueling my workouts recently is I've become very obsessed. It's a thing that happens to men in their early 30s, I think. Really obsessed with like smoking meat and things. So I actually like bought a offset smoker because I had one lying around for a while. That was a cheap one. That was a present, but I gave it a go using it finally after like a year, and I got bitten by the bug, so they say, of smoking meat. I really enjoyed it, and I recently upgraded because while the other one was fine, it was pretty cheap, and with like smoking meat, if the metal's really thin, it doesn't retain its heat well, so you have to keep putting in like charcoal and wood, which is a real pain in the ass. So yeah, I've been smoking a lot of meat, right? Every Sunday, me and my wife go to the butcher, buy some meat, and we just smoke it and kind of meal prep for the week. But yeah, really enjoying that. It's some good passive recovery while keeping the mind occupied on the weekend. Just kind of spend the whole day sitting by the barbecue and loading up the firebox, eating meat. It's pretty good. Things are good. But yeah, getting a lot of extra protein, that's for sure. Oh. Yeah, bit of a drop off there, but I find that's actually normal with triceps. Yeah, 3 reps off, but yeah, it's good. That's what you want. You shouldn't really be getting the same reps every single set, unless you're at like the top of a rep range and you're trying to just get all 3 sets with clean form. But if you're pushing yourself, there should be a drop off a lot of the time. Yeah. Yeah, so this movement's a long head of the tricep targeter. Said that sentence really weird. It biases the long head of the tricep, which is something I've been trying to work on. And when I do these, nearly like the bench pressing, I nearly think of like dislocating my shoulders, or like flaring my lats, getting that dimple in the shoulder like I talked about. I find that helps me take my shoulders out of it and hit the tricep a lot more. But it's crazy how as you become a more skilled lifter, you're able to just bias muscles more. Like there's such a big difference between just going through the movement and moving the weight from A to B versus really like doing what you're, or targeting what you're trying to target. It's a happy middle ground. You don't want to hyper focus on it and just sandbag because of that. But yeah, there's some kind of middle ground. I think a lot of people are in the camp of if you just move the weight and your body's orientated a certain way, you'll be fine. But I think there is something to the mind-muscle connection to a degree, or just the way you move. Anyway, let's do this other set. Okay. Because like I was talking about, man, that was intense. When I say I'm dislocating my shoulder or flaring my lats during that movement, you probably can't see that on camera, but that's something I'm thinking, and that dramatically changes the way the exercise feels to me, and as well as that, the amount of weight I could use. And I was actually watching GVS's Instagram story the other day, and he was talking about how people will message him and be like, oh, you're only lateral raising this weight, whether it's like whatever 10 kgs, and I'm lateral raising 20 kgs, and my shoulders don't look anything like yours. And he just kind of said, well, the truth is he's just a more skilled lifter. There's obviously like the genetic component and things like that, but if you can lift in a more skilled way, you actually won't need as much weight to like target the muscle in the way you want and move it through the right range of motion. Because again, with the lateral raise, like there's a huge difference between like if you're being very strict and you're like feeling the weight in your shoulders, like you're keeping that dimple in the shoulder rather than shrugging up, versus like just getting some weight and just like doing this, right? It's going to be a big difference. So it's not always apples to apples in terms of like what weight you're using for an exercise and the way you're going to look. So it's something, it's actually a giveaway when I'm talking to someone about fitness. It's a giveaway that they're somewhat a beginner if they start like flexing or saying the kind of weights that they like leg press, or that they do dumbbell curls with, and they're kind of flexing about that. And it's like, well, you're probably, if you're focused on that, your training probably isn't super efficient, because it's like Goodhart's law, when the measure becomes the target, it fails to be a good measure, or it ceases to become a good measure. If your measure or your focus or your target, just like cycle through all the words, is the weight that you're using, as opposed to like what the feeling should be, and then the weight you're using being a byproduct of your effective training and your muscles growing bigger, then it's actually not like a good measurement for your progress. Just like with a lot of things, same with guitar. If your focus is just, I want to be able to play at 120 beats per minute playing 16th notes, and that's all you care about, and you just chuck the metronome on at that speed and blast through it, and then it sounds real shit. It's not a good way to think about it. Like, you should just focus on, okay, well, I'm just going to practice in a range that's good for me, and practice so it's all clean and sounding nice. And then if I just put in the time, my speed's going to go up as a byproduct of that good practice. So it's something to think about. As I'm doing this video, I'm realizing how scrambled my thoughts probably sound, but I'm sure we've all had workout brain before. It's sometimes hard to articulate thoughts in a coherent fashion. But hopefully it's not too brutal to listen to. Anyway, so for abs, I'm doing ab wheel rollouts. I would definitely say my form is amateurish, because these are something I've just reincorporated. I'm doing them on my knees, and I tend to find I'm keeping my hips up a bit. But these are kind of in the feeling out stage. right? And this is why it's so important to not program hop or change exercises all the time, because it takes can take a good few weeks to get a exercise to a point where it's really effective in targeting the target muscle well, and you're just making the neural adaptations in that lead up time till you get to that point. So I'm just basically giving some excuses right now as to why they're not going to look super pretty. But we'll see. Here we go. Yeah, those are hard, man. I'm really trying to keep my hips forward and not let my lower back just collapse and round. Trying to keep it stacked. Easier said than done. Guess it could be interesting to talk about my program at the moment. Pretty simple. It's 5 days a week, and it's just upper, lower, upper, lower, upper. Obviously, I have a day's rest between where the uppers double up, and I also do kickboxing on those days, on the rest days. But yeah. Before this is a split I've done. This is a split I've done a lot of times, but for the last few months, I've been doing a kind of a full body variation where I would do 2 full body days a week and 1 like arm, shoulder, kind of just all the accessory, well, not accessory movements, but muscles I really wanted to bring up. So arguably the opposite of accessory movements. So 3 days a week, so 2 full body days and then 1 specialization day is a way I would think of it. But yeah, I just enjoy the split as well and wanted to do something new. So I've come back to this, and this was what I did for the majority of last year. I'd say up until about September last year I was doing this, and then September through till a few weeks back I was doing the full body type split. But yeah. Yeah, not super happy with how those are feeling. They probably look like shit too, but it's getting somewhere. I definitely feel it in the abs, so that's why I'm doing them. Can't complain too much. Oh. 1 more set of those and I'm done. Yeah, okay. It's done. Done for the day. So, thanks for watching. Hopefully you found this somewhat interesting, but probably not. Anyway, I'll probably do a few more of these, see how I go. But yeah, see you next time.